Amid renewed strikes by Israel and the US, Iran is stepping up its retaliatory attacks on American assets across the Gulf region. From military bases to consulates, American assets have come under threat from Iranian missiles and drones. So far, Iranian retaliatory attacks on American bases have been reported in Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Those attacked include the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which is the largest US base in the region. Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, the US Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, and the Erbil Air Base in Iraq. US logistics base at Camp Buhairing in Kuwait and the Jebel Ali port in the UAE have also been hit. Not just military facilities, even diplomatic facilities have come under attack. So far, the US consulate in Dubai, Riyadh, and Kuwait City have been struck by Iranian drones. The attacks have prompted the US to close its embassy in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Lebanon. As the attacks escalate, the US is feeling the heat. It has already issued evacuation orders for non-emergency personnel in Bahrain and Jordan. It has also urged American citizens across 14 countries in West Asia to leave immediately as the war spirals across the region. So far, 6 American personnel have been killed. As Iran hits back relentlessly, the US and Israel are intensifying their attacks on Iranian missile bases in a bid to blunt Tehran's counterattacks. The US claims it has hit several Iranian ballistic missile facilities and even degrading Tehran's missile capabilities. But cheap Iranian suicide drones, especially the Shahed drones, are emerging as a bigger problem for the US. The cost-to-kill ratio is heavily skewed in Iran's favor. Drone swarms can overwhelm radar systems, forcing the US to burn through its limited inventory of high-end interceptors. Mr. Chris Doyle is the director of the current lead of the council. He's now joining us live from London. Mr. Chris Doyle, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for your time and welcome to the broadcast. I'll begin by us discussing about this report by CNN, which cited multiple people familiar with the plan, that the CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces with the aim of fomenting an uprising in Iran. The sources say that the Trump administration has been active or has been in active discussions with Iranian opposition groups and Kurdish leaders in Iraq to foment chaos in Iran. What do you make of that report?
I think it's probably quite likely, given that the United States, in order to actually prevail in this war, will eventually need to have some form of presence on the ground. I think that therefore this is a formula. We have seen it before, for example, in Iraq, where there was support given to Iraqi Kurds back in the era of Saddam Hussein. So now, whether it's wise and advisable is another matter, but it's the way in which that the United States will use certain identity groups, particularly ones that are capable in terms of military training and arms, to become a presence on the ground. But then again, you have to, help them and protect them, to give them air cover. It's not clear if this will bring stability or actually sow the seeds for greater fragmentation and division going on further. I think it's always important when looking like a country in Iran not to think about the next week, but what you're setting in store for the next year and 2 years. And there will be nervousness amongst some regional powers that this is actually setting up another new Kurdish entity that will be, as far as those leaderships are concerned, a threat to their own internal stability. Of course, for the Kurds themselves, they will see this as an opportunity to realize some of the rights that they aspire to, quite understandably, that they will want to, have autonomy or independence, which they've failed to achieve, albeit outside of Iraq.
Initially, President Trump did indicate that there's no plan from America to evacuate their personnel across West Asia, but now that has changed because an advisory has been issued to American citizens in 14 countries in West Asia, and especially 3 countries, Kuwait, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. It doesn't look good for the United States.
Well, this shows that when you embark on such a war and it becomes not a skirmish or a limited effort, but a full-scale war, just how it can spread across the Middle East. This is what many experts, including myself, had warned of, and that you will see the spread. It is within the Iranian leadership interest to try to make this as broad a front war as possible. It means that the United States and its allies will have to spread its military kit, its anti-ballistic missile systems across a much wider area, and it doesn't have enough munitions to do that. It won't be able to sustain that for very long. But it also highlights simply the lack of planning involved from the Trump administration, because we heard yesterday that this all happened so fast they didn't have time to put together the sort of evacuation plan that is required. Yet they've had plenty of time to accumulate this incredible arsenal and armada of warships, and yet they weren't considering the implications for the, thousands of American citizens who were likely to be caught up on this, living in these countries that are American allies, who are obviously now very fearful given the strikes, the missile and drone strikes from Iran on civilian targets.
Mm-hmm. There is speculation that the son of the late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, that is Mojtaba, may be the next Supreme Leader of Iran, because the council is set to elect a new leader and his name has been fronted there. But there's a flip side to that story, because Israel tried to assassinate Mojtaba. I don't think they succeeded in that. What do you think will be the future of Iran if at all Mojtaba becomes the new supreme leader? Because according to Trump, he says that he doesn't want somebody who is even worse than Ali Khamenei to take over.
Well, I think that, this is all getting into the realms almost of fortune telling. I mean, if Mojtaba Khamenei becomes the supreme leader, is the supreme leader, as is reported, then, he is going to be embarking in this new role with, a target on his head. His life expectancy cannot be that high. Quite clearly, the United States and Israel will continue to prosecute their decapitation strategy. I don't believe that they will, not go after him. But it also shows that the Iranian regime is attempting to demonstrate that it can be business as usual, that it is not affected by this war, that their leadership systems are in place. Now, all of that is up for real scrutiny because, of course, the American-Israeli strikes have made a major hit on Iran and its systems. So in what sort of way that any leader will actually be able to command all the various aspects of the Iranian military, security services, political and economic elite is really hard to know right now. And we're living in a situation where hard information is difficult to come by. It's very wise not to trust the belligerents in this conflict because they do not have a great track record, whether it's the Iranian leadership, the Trump administration, or the Israeli leadership, of being honest and upfront with what is going on.
Mr. Chris Doyle, it's good to see you. We'll have to end this discussion there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.